Welcome to the Bree Pod. I'm here with me, Bree. So, yesterday I had my very last sonogram. Uh, Basically, this means we will not see Liam again until he arrives. And let me tell you, the anxiety is through the roof. I'm waking up every single day worried about, all the little things, which I think is normal. It comes with the territory. Um, but I'm waking up every day anxious. There was one day I really thought that I was having contractions just because I had this like cramping coming in and out. Um, I'm not sure if that was Braxton Hicks or what that was, but I remember it was like 1 in the morning and I was panicking, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But I'm probably gonna say that even when this whole thing goes down, I know myself. I'll be like, nope, nope, no, no, no. Um, but I think it's just the anxiety of like meeting my son. Am I gonna be a good mom? Am I gonna be able to handle the the lack of sleep, the feedings, all these things, which I think again are all normal feelings. And I always hear we get the advice from people like, wait until this happens, wait until that happens. And I'm like, man, I can't even get to the birth without freaking out. I don't know if I can wait until this or that happens, which I know it comes from love, but I kind of wish y'all would give more like, I don't know, like I do like the reality, and I think it's good to have truth and the ups and downs of parenthood. But some of y'all are only purely, you're gonna miss this, this gonna happen, your life is over. I just like we need to find a balance. You know what I mean? Like, because the same people telling me this have like multiple children. Okay? So tell me how you guys went and had more if you're gonna warn me of scary shit. Hmm? I'm just kidding. It's I'm just kidding on that. But anyway, point being with this, the anxiety has been through the roof, but I've been trying to keep a beautiful outlook on it because I know that at the end of the day, I will meet my son. I will figure it out. Like my therapist says, you know, it's just like, it's gonna be not a lesson, but I'll learn with time. Time will show me how it goes. What I think is scary today, a year from now, it's not gonna be the same scary of what is scary then a year from now. So I know that I'm gonna get through it, and I know that I feel this way through everything. I mean, when I had my endo surgery, when I had um like what was it? Really anything that was scary that I needed to face. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to survive. I got through it and, it worked out. So I know that I'll be okay. But whew, anxiety is high. And for some reason, I am hungry. It does not matter how much I eat. This dude wants me to eat. He is like, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm hungry. Like the first thought, I need to eat. Um, so he's got me very hungry, but I'm kind of happy I'd rather feel hungry than nauseous. So there's that. But the main thing is that I'm excited, scared, but excited. Um, we've been looking at the ultrasound, and I'm not 100% because an ultrasound is not the same as in person. But I personally feel that I see my nose and Jeremy's lips. We'll see how accurate that is in person. Um, but I'm very curious of his features. I'm very curious of his personality. He had the cutest little positioning that he was in. Basically, when we first started, he was sleeping. So he had his little hands cupped by his face, and then he had his legs crossed. And it was so cute because he just was like, guys, I'm trying to sleep. Why are you hitting me with this with the thing for the sonogram? So every time he'd feel it come over, he'd be like kicking um to let us know like, hey, I'm sleeping. So that was really cute. And our the woman that did the sonogram was so sweet, and very like helpful in helping us understand, what we're looking at and how he's doing. And of course, she had such sweet things to say about him, which I really love when they are vocal and able to just kind of make you feel comfortable in um in that because we're this is our first time being parents, so it's exciting. But what I wanted to add in this episode is that Friday this week is the anniversary of the laparoscopy surgery, my 2-year anniversary of when I had this done. And it is crazy to me that with all the episodes, from the beginning to now, we are finally here. And I mean, of course, with prayer and healthy mama, healthy baby vibes, where I am pregnant, I am having a son. I did that surgery 2 years ago, Friday, to hopefully better my chances of having a baby. Because endo was really strong. It's not to say that endo is gone. I do have an episode on what happens with endo in pregnancy, but endo finally, let me have a chance to have a child, even though I have to have endo. So I'm really happy about that. I'm definitely gonna be nervous about getting my period back. That's gonna suck, but that's another story. But I'm just very thankful for making the decision to go and get the laparoscopy done. Um, I do feel that it helped in some manner to help me get pregnant. I think a lot of factors helped, honestly. There's so much that um, I had to work on to help with my infertility issues. I Had I not gotten pregnant, I think I'm not really sure what route I would have taken. Probably towards adopting. I think that was like the next idea. Like I said, I was never really interested in IVF. It's not that I have anything against it. I just know that for me, it's not something that I could do. I I think that there are very strong women out there that can do that can do it. But I just couldn't. I can't. I don't like needles like that. I mean, like I'll go with needles, for what I need it for, but I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. And it's such a process. Like anyone that you know that is talking about the IVF journey, it's important to know that it's not something that's simple. It's not something that is easy by any means, and it takes a lot out of the couple that are, doing it. So I have mad respect for anybody that does the IVF route. But for me, yeah, I was like, ugh, I'm too weak for that. But I'm very happy that the laparoscopic surgery helped because the thing is, um, I don't know what would have helped. I'm not sure what would have, um, well, it doesn't matter, right? Would have, should have, could haves are not a part of it. So, with that being said, I am very grateful that I am able to do this. I'm very grateful that I'm able to be here and celebrate the 2-year anniversary pregnant. Like, what? It's crazy. So with that being said, it's just crazy to think that we're here. And for a reminder for anybody that may not know this, back 2 years ago on August 13th, I had to schedule a laparoscopy to help first off determine what exactly I had. I knew I had very bad periods. I knew they were painful. I knew that what was happening every month was not normal. I was always taking ibuprofen on on basically the hour that I could. I would take two, which would I think it would be total of like 800 milligrams. I didn't like to take too much, but every 4 hours I'd take that. I'd have two heating pads, one on the top, one at the bottom. I had still pain regardless. I remember many times going into the bathroom and crying, and people would be like, just walk it off. Just try to, you know, see if you can work that pain out. It did not work at all. I always felt pain, um, and honestly, it was crippling. I would be in bed for days, and I would be nauseous. I would be tired, and it would last, like I said, a couple of days, and then it was just my life for a lot of years, really. I can't really pinpoint down to when it started, because I've had it for so long, but for it started to become a routine. I kind of, not saying I got used to the pain, but I got used to what was going to happen every month. And my family did as well. And I had many people try to help me figure it out, but I just didn't have the right doctors at the time. But then one time I had moved in with my friend, and well, really my brother and friend, and her mom was coming to visit us, and she said, I think you have endometriosis. And I was like, no, I don't know. Because at the time I was going down the gastro kind of stuff, thinking, oh, maybe it's like something to do with my esophagus, maybe something to do with my um, colon. Like there was all these ideas because of how sick I was, and I had IBS as well as um trying to think, oh, acid reflux. So I'm like, maybe it has to do with that. Anyway, so I did end up joining a group later because it's like, you know what? Because it started to show up on the commercials more again on endometriosis, blah, blah, blah. So I decided to join a group, and that is where I read all these girls' stories, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is literally um, where I am. This is how I feel. This is their symptoms are exactly what mine are. So then I ended up getting, I learned about how do you find out how to have, to know if you have endo. Unfortunately, the only way you can find out if you have endo is via surgery. So that's the only way. They cannot find this on an ultrasound. Um, and there's so many other myths that they say of how you can find endo. The main thing is you have to have surgery. There are two kinds. I cannot remember the other one, but one is where they burn the names of them, but one is where they like burn the endo off, basically, something along those lines. And the other is where they scrape it, which is the laparoscopy. I went to this place in Arizona, like fast forward to surgery, looking into surgery 2 years ago. I went looking at Arizona, and they were going to do the burning process, or that type. I don't know if it's exactly burning, but it's basically there's two kinds. And I felt a little off about it. I felt like it wasn't right for me. The guy seemed to question me, like, do you really have it? Do you really need it? But then he was kind of flipping, because then when I say flipping, I mean he was like a flip-flop. where that first time he said, "Do you really need it?" But then the next time I came in, he's like, "Okay, let's do it." I don't know. I don't know why that was. It just felt so weird and not really the best. And that's why I'm very adamant on anyone that is going to do anything medically, you've got to fight for yourself. You have to, because if you don't, um, then it's harder to get the answers, and it's more uh for you to it's you're going to lose the passion to go toward of figuring out what's wrong, because that's what I did. That's why I think some of it sometimes it took me so long was because I was worried that I wouldn't get answers, that I couldn't find what was the solution. So, and people weren't listening to me or believing me. But that's where we can't stop advocating, even if you feel that way. It's very difficult, but you can't stop advocating for you just because one doctor is like, no. Or even if it's two doctors, because I've had that happen before as well, where I've had two doctors be like, oh no, this is purely anxiety. Which let me tell you, yes, do I have anxiety? 1,000%. But was it purely anxiety? No, I cannot purely make my body be in pain that way. Like there's certain things that can happen with anxiety, but that is not there's no way that I could do that. So I am glad that I ended up finding that fight in me again, because I did start to give up after trying to go down the whole gastro side, after trying to figure out the colon side, which they wouldn't give me a colonoscopy. Um, I just started to give up and think, oh my gosh, I'm just never gonna know. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Um, so that is how I paused. And then I'm not really sure if it was the want to be pregnant that helped it come back for a fight of trying to find out what's wrong, but something reignited the flame that I need to find out what's wrong with me. And so I went forward and started to look, and that's when I went. I found in Arizona, I found this guy that supposedly was a guru of endometriosis. Not really a guru, but he's supposed to know more about it. But then COVID saved me from a botched surgery and a person that I didn't really trust at all. And then my aunt, she said, well, when I was going through stuff for myself, I actually went through this place in Boston. And that's how I found my Dr. Elisa. She was amazing with me. She helped explain how the surgery that I was going to get could have hurt me in the long run, and I would have had to have more surgeries on top of more, which would have added more damage and probably would have made the um, idea of a baby not as great because of what he was going to do. And so finally, um, COVID restrictions were kind of coming down enough where we could go back to actually go into appointments. So, well, it was actually good in so many ways for me with COVID, because they started doing Zoom calls, and that's how I was able to keep meeting up with her while we were traveling for Jeremy's job. And then in August of 2 years ago, on Friday, we were able to plan a trip to Boston. My aunt and uncle hosted us there, which is super amazing, and we're so thankful for that because I really needed it. And then after they hosted us there, we went in. I got the surgery done. I stayed for a couple weeks and just recovered. And Jeremy took care of me. My aunt and uncle checked in on me. My best friend she's from New York but lives in Quincy, came over and spent some days with me, and it was really nice to be able to have that work out so well. Everything aligned exactly how it needed to. Jeremy happened to be off of work at the perfect time because of COVID um, restrictions. So he had all the time to help. And so overall, I'm so grateful for it. And, after I had the surgery, I wondered, of course, I was like, when are we gonna have the baby, Um, which I know it's a little pushing it to think like that. But I was just excited because I'm like, maybe this is a step forward where I can have a baby. Then we hit the year um anniversary and there was no baby yet. So it's like, oh no, does this mean that the surgery didn't work? Was it worth it? Because the same symptoms that I had were repeating. Like for the first couple of days after surgery, I'd say the first couple of weeks, it felt like I didn't have pain at all for endo, and then it came back like a biatch later. So I started to think, oh, did this surgery even work? And started to get again a little bit into a depression, which is what made me start this podcast. I started the podcast, and then I realized that I had a lot more work on myself that I needed to do internally. Uh, that I wasn't focusing on. I was focusing on all the physical stuff with health. I was focusing on nutrition. I was focusing on my physical body and working out, but I was not focusing on the mental because there's a lot of trauma that I wasn't addressing. So I got myself a therapist and I just basically went to therapy, had a fitness trainer, had a nutritionist, had you know, the seed cycling to work to try to get my periods regulated. And what was cool and what I noticed is that as I was calming down and as I was finding my voice and feeling empowered, um, the period actually started to level out because for the longest time I'd have like 40 days. Now, the cycle is usually 28 days, normally, in quotes. Mine was 40, 35, 30, 28, 40. And you'd see it on my little chart. It was like up, down, 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 up, down, up, down. And then I noticed when I started to work on myself mentally, physically, emotionally, it started to plateau, or plateau, is that right? It basically started to stay in a straight line between 30, 32, 30, 33, 32. Um, and I noticed that I was like actually getting somewhere with all this. It was a lot, of course. I don't have all of it right now still. I did have to put a pause on some of the stuff, but I do plan on, when I'm done being pregnant, to focus maybe not as intently on it like I was before, but enough to have it in my life to help hopefully stay regulated. Um, or as close. And so that is my wild adventure, I guess, of endometriosis surgery and where I am today. I still have to look into other things because I did learn that I have a fibroid. Luckily, it has not grown. Um, it's just kind of sitting there. It was, I think it was about 2 centimeters, and the way that it's kind of laying because the baby's so big, well, in comparison to, to my placenta and uterus and everything, he's actually pushing it up where it's kind of like this little tiny 1 centimeter, but really long, not really long, but longer. Like it looked like a circle before, but now it's kind of from him pushing it, it's kind of like this long 1 centimeter thing. So it doesn't look too bad as far as getting in the way or becoming an issue. But after pregnancy, and continuing during the pregnancy, we'll be keeping an eye on it. Well, probably not. We won't probably do another sonogram on it like, until after, but we will be keeping an eye on it to see like what needs to happen. Because I didn't think that I was having fibroids before. Which that's something else I need to call my previous OBGYN to talk about to see if she saw anything like that. So that is where we're at, and it's wild. But I'm very happy. So happy anniversary to Endo. So happy to have baby Liam coming. Scary, but anxious and awaiting. That's where I'm at. So with that, you are loved, you are worthy, you are cherished, and I am proud of you. Until next time on the Brief Pod. Bye.